Yes, my people, Big PROZECH back again, and you already know what it is. Your sneaker and lifestyle podcast, Kicks Chronicles. I believe this is episode 109. You get me? So thank you very much for joining me, whatever time of the day it is, morning, afternoon, or evening. It's much appreciated. I absolutely love the fact that you're listening / watching this podcast right about now. So thank you once again for your time. You know what I wanted to do this week? Obviously, for anybody that is new here, Kicks Chronicles, as I said, sneaker and lifestyle podcast, where we speak to a guest about their sneaker history. We take a little walk down memory lane in their favorite kicks, and we get into everything about what they loved growing up and all of the what have you. There are over 100 episodes for you to go and watch to get up to speed. But this is going to be a little bit of a different episode for those that have probably been watching in the last couple of weeks. Things have been slightly different, dealing with different levels of guests. I'm joking. I'm saying your boy is up now. I'm joking. You get me? All I'm saying is I used to do intros. I used to have these opportunity to sort of talk to the people, and I thought, you know what, let me cut a lot of that stuff out just so I don't sort of bulk out the episodes so we can really focus on this chat. So I thought, you know what, let me schedule in every 10 so episodes a little reset. You get me? Every so often, let's have a little reset. Let's have a little one-to-one, you know, like they have at work. You have a little one-to-one, just so we're all on the same page, we're all hitting our objectives. You get me? Just so there's no surprises at the end of the year. You get me? But first and foremost, obviously, if you haven't managed to go check out our last episode with Moses Rashid from the Edit London, episode 108, that's available everywhere you get podcast, people. So make sure to go and check that out. Great episode. Shout out to Moses once again. And as I said, some of you eagle-eyed among us are going to notice that there has been some changes to the podcast. One of those changes, as I said, is that I'm not doing as many intros before the interview. But also another one of those changes is I've changed the time that the episode drops. Okay, it used to drop at 6 p.m. on a Sunday, and now it drops at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning. Reason being is I put it out on my story and I asked the people what they're kind of vibing with, and ultimately that's what came back to me. People vibe with it being there early in the morning on a Monday, just so they have it for their commute, and I kind of vibe with that as well. A lot of my favorite podcasts do very, very similar things. So we're out here. I've done it for the last, I think, week or two, and not noticed any difference in terms of upload streams and whatsoever and what have you. So you know what? Let's keep it going and let's see if people vibe with it. And it gives me a little bit more time to make sure that the episode is up and uploaded. So yeah, it works better for me. Want to say thank you for everyone that jumped on the story to give me your opinion on that. So feedback was well received, and I do appreciate it. You know, I'm a man of the people. Kicks Chronicles is a community podcast, so when the community speaks, we do most certainly listen. And yeah, we'll be doing that for the foreseeable future. And obviously, if it continues to make sense, we'll continue to do it. If it doesn't make sense at a point, we might switch it up and change it. But for the time being, man, definitely we'll continue to do 8 a.m. on Mondays. That's the new time. You get me? Thank you for everyone that managed to help me out and give me your feedback. And now, obviously, we're in that mode of synchronizing schedules. We might as well set some things up for the next couple of weeks. So as you're watching it, this is episode 109. It's dropping on the 16th. Today it dropped, which is a Monday. We've got a Christmas special coming up with some amazing guests. And if you want to find out who those guests are, stick around to the end of the podcast, and I will divulge who are two very, very special festive guests are for this 2024 Christmas special of Kicks Chronicles. You get me? And those episodes will be dropping on the 23rd of December and the 30th of December, either side of Christmas and just before New Year's. You get me? Then I'll be taking a break for a few weeks over the New Year's and Christmas, and we'll be back on the 13th with another episode, and that episode will be a very, very special episode. It will be the lost tapes, so to speak. I know back in the day, Nas had this EP that came out called The Lost Tapes. This is kind of a lost tape episode because there was a part of my Lorenz OG episode that I did not put out purely because I didn't want the episode to be too long. And I felt this particular section of the interview was so deep and specific to his background prior to him starting his journey as a color designer. I thought it'd be really, really cool for it to just be its own podcast. So that's essentially going to be part 2 or part 1A of that Lorenzo podcast. And it's really, really cool that I'm dropping it on the 13th because I've heard a few rumors that on the 18th of that same January 2025, something might be dropping from the OG. Right, so just keep your eyes peeled. And all I'm saying is, if anything's dropping in these London streets from Lorenzo G, best believe Big PROZECH gonna be there. You get me? So keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled. You get me? January 2025 is about to go down. After the 13th, we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming, dropping every Monday at 8 a.m. Now, Spotify rap, for a lot of us, Spotify raps just come out. You're seeing sort of the who you've been listening to throughout the course of the year, the songs you've been listening to throughout the course of the year, but it also comes out for podcasters, especially ones that utilize Spotify as a platform. You get me? Now, I'm on every platform. You already know this if you're watching this or listening to this, but analytics and MI are really, really important for letting us know whether we're hitting certain metrics, what we're doing. You get me? Last year was pretty good. We give glory to God, and this year's been decent as well. It's been amazing, actually. I have to give a lot of respect and a lot of appreciation to all of you guys that are watching and listening, whether it be on social media or on any of the podcasting platforms. Massive appreciation to you. So let's run through these. Listeners up 53%, streams up 33%, followers up 170%. Now, that's good in anyone's book. Very, very strong to start. 74% of my listeners in 2024 are actually new listeners. So if you're a new listener, let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you jumping on the bandwagon. You get me? Doing a new thing. You get me? And maybe it was one of the old guys that shared it with you, but however you came, bro, you're welcome. And we appreciate you. Thank you very much to that 74% of new listeners that jumped on the pod in 2024. Listeners aged 18 to 24. So this is interesting in terms of demographic, right? Because obviously you've got different demos that you might hit. Right? Now I'm tapped in, right? I'm saying I might not be Gen Z, but I'm in there, bro. They're my guys. You get me, man? And I'm not FD from the future, but I'm not the voice of the streets, but if you're wearing Beats headphones, I'm the voice of the Beats, right? So it seems like it. 18 to 24s grew to 300%. So shout out to all my guys in the 18 to 24 demo. Yeah, that's jumped on the Kicks Chronicles bandwagon, jumped on the Kicks Chronicles wave. You get me? It's nothing but love, and I appreciate you. Let me know who you are in the comments below. Top episode. Now, we've had a lot of great episodes this year. Right? Obviously, we had the 100 episode. We had, who else was there? Sneakonomics, Culture Force was there. You get me? Those are some amazing podcasts. FD from the Future was also there for 2024. That's a big podcast. You get me? Suave, shout out to my boy John. You get me? Like, we've had some big podcasts. Like Johnny Kicks, just going over them in my mind. Like, there's some big guys that have been in doing some big things in the game that have come through and showed love, man. Jeff and Fuller from Jason Mark. How could I forget? I'm saying Will Stowe, the Will everyone knows from Nike. You get me, man. Hackney's very own came through as well. You get me, man. We've had some amazing episodes, and I'm not gonna embarrass myself and try and go through every single one, but yeah, we've had a great year in terms of guests. But the number one guest in terms of streams, at least, for 2024, is the one and only Aman Tak from The Offspring. So shout out to Aman from The Offspring, and congratulations to him for recently winning a Netflix competition, Rhythm and Flow, with his pseudonym, his moniker, J Taj. Shout out to my boy Ant-Man for doing his thing. You get me, man? That's very, 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 very cool. Apparently streamed 236% more than average, which is very, very cool. On average, 5 stars. On average, the average rating for the podcast and the episode is 5 stars. This is what I always ask for, and I thank you for obliging. So I really do appreciate that. Obviously, we could get more. Obviously, like, if we're getting anything, at least we're getting a 5 star. So I do appreciate you. This one blew my mind. So thank you to everybody. Right, videos on videos on Spotify. So we're a video podcast. We're on YouTube, but also you have that video function on Spotify. So videos on Spotify, right? Our videos are watched 179% more this year, right? Which is amazing, right? Nearly 200% more. Our videos are watched nearly 200% more. Now watch this. As a result of our videos being watched nearly 179% more than they were the previous year, we're in the top 20% for video podcasts on Spotify. The top 20% in the world, which is wild when you kind of put that together, because I'm just a dude in his office, and that's just wild when you start to think about it. So yeah, all glory to God. It's been an absolutely amazing year. I can't thank you, the listeners, the viewers, people that have supported us. Can't thank you guys enough. It's been absolutely amazing. And do you know what? Bring on 2025, G, because we've got bigger things. Go on. You get me? Now, let's cleanse our palate just quickly. Just cleanse our palate. I got some pickups. I got some things that I just copped. So I got some things that were sent as well. So let's run through a few of those very quickly. So you've heard me mention it in the podcast. Finally managed to pick these up. Right, the 20th anniversary Patta Air Max ones. Okay, the lights are gonna let me show this very clearly, but it's a very, very cool shoe. Very, very cool shoe. Not like the original, obviously it's different in many ways, but a cool shoe nonetheless. Right, this is the 20th anniversary version of a classic. I had no option but to cop. Wasn't able to get in my size, actually. Ended up getting them in a size, well, this says a size 12, but I actually use a size 11, but I can vibe with a size 11, everyone that knows me. Also, I mean, a lot of you would have seen that I picked up the Gully Grey Corteiz, right? But I also managed to cop the light bone, right? But as you can probably tell, if I can get these both in shot, that these are not the same size, because I got these from the sneakers website, and when I talk about these, I mean the light bone Corteiz, which I think are fine. They're actually leather versus the suede of the gullies, and I prefer the suede on the gullies, if I'm being honest. But these are actually really, really cool. I just wasn't able to get them in my size, so I thought, okay, get the size you can get, which was ended up being a 6.5. And see if you can trade up. And I haven't been able to trade up, which is unfortunate. So they may have to find a new home. That being said, this particular shoe helped me do something or tick off a particular thing off my bucket list that I never thought I'd be able to, or not never thought, but not in any time soon. So yeah, a couple of weeks ago, so I've started a series on Instagram where essentially I pretend my wife sends me out to go pick up some mundane grocery, and I come back with a new pair of kicks. And on this particular case, I came back with these, and that particular post got quite heated. Some people liked it, and I remember there was a time when I posted it, and I'm not like massive on Instagram. And if you're watching this and you don't know about, I'm Prozac on every single platform, so please make sure to go follow me on those. It really, really does help, right? So I posted that sort of trend or whatever it is on Instagram, and it was getting some traction. I think the day I posted it, by the end of that day, it was on like 15 to 20K, right? Massive for me, huge, right? So I'm like, cool, right? I fall asleep. I wake up about an hour later and it's on 165,000. Like, so this thing is like more than quadrupled, like quintupled, septupled. I don't know what the number is. I don't know how to say it, but it's gone up by a lot. Like, it's like 5, 6, 7x, right? In the space of an hour. And I'm trying to understand Wagwan. And all of a sudden, I'm getting messages telling me Clint reposted it. Corteiz has reposted your video on their story. And I said, sorry, what? Sorry, could you say that one more time? Sorry. I went and checked, bro. It was there, bro. My face was on the Corteiz official story on Instagram. I said, sorry, what is going on in this life? God is so good. That is not something I expected. So within a couple of days, that was on like 600-700K. And they not only reposted it on Instagram, but they also reposted it on TikTok. So shout out to them. I did obviously try to hit them up. I tried to hit Clint up in the DMs to try and see if I could pattern myself a 12 from the 6.5. He did not respond. He left me unread. That's okay. I'll take it because the repost is a lot more valuable. In many respects. And them man don't owe me nothing, man. I just love the shoes. You get me, man. So yeah, big shout out to Clint and the team over there at Corteiz for doing that. They didn't have to do that. That was a massively, massively nice thing that they did to help out a content creator. And to be honest, yeah, I have to shout out Corteiz and what they've been doing with the Huarache line, because they've actually been doing some nice things for a few content creators. I'm going to shout out the Stockroom podcast, who were actually able to get a full sit-down interview with Clint from Corteiz as well during the drop of the Lightbone as well in Manchester. So yeah, massive, massive shout out to the man them over at the Stockroom. Shout out to E-Man, Bolu the Bear, and obviously M1 as well. Like, just doing amazing things, man, and getting this full sit down at this drop as well. That was really, really cool, man. And yeah, it's just another thing that shows you, like, Corteiz are fully tapped in to the culture. Like, we're thinking these people are like so far away, and then things like this just help you to realize that, you know what, like, they're not as far away as you probably think they are. They're not as far away as you probably think they are, and if they're not seeing what you're doing, people around them possibly are seeing what you're doing, and that's really cool. That's really cool. To think that and see that. And yeah, man, that's a crazy. I mean, it happened. It was either late November, early December. It was like, I mean, it's just a really, really nice way to end the year, man. Really, really cool. You get me? And yeah, things have been popping off on Instagram. If you're not on my Instagram's getting kind of lit recently, so feel free to jump on it. So that was a nice pickup, even though it might not be around for very long. You get me? It was a cool thing to have while I had it, and it's a cool story as well. Also managed to cop these, which is a really, really important shoe, man. The BC3s. A lot of people not happy with their pairs. A lot of people not happy with elephant print. I'm happy with all of that. Haven't put them on my feet yet. Got the shoes banging. I think the shoes banging. And I get what people are saying in terms of the silhouette, in terms of the shape. Shape is different from the 2018 pair. I get that. But I wasn't able to get the 2018 pair, and they're going for big money. So this is what I needed, and this is what I got. So we're good with that. White Cements dropped last year. Reimagined, but still similar. These dropped this year. We're in a good space right now. We're in a good space. So happy with those. Also wanted to shout out a couple of bits of clothes and whatnot. So yeah, shout out to Joe Wilkinson from Jocks Socks. That episode will be coming out in the new year. Shout out to Joe. Really, really cool guy. Managed to send me a few pieces. I copped a few bits and he sent me an extra pair as well. So shout out to him. Shout out to Reese from Cake Not Crumbs. You get me? I put this on my story as well, but yeah, this is a fire t-shirt. Cake Not Crumbs, you get me, man? We're out here chopping big things, you get me? Respectfully. And last but not least, my guy. Like my original guy, you get me? Shout out to Sneaker Den, one of my earlier guests on the podcast. Sneaker Den, yeah, dangerous youth, bro. Recently at like Complex Con, bro was served with a cease and desist. I can say it because he said it. Dude was served with a cease and desist, right, from the company. I'm not gonna say the name of the company just so I don't get embroiled, right? From the company that he took inspiration from for his line. And I'm wearing one of the bits, and I'm not showing my head because he likes to make fun of me when I show my head on screen. But like this particular company that he took like inspiration from, yeah, dude, yeah, they didn't want him to do it anymore, so he had to kind of pivot a little bit. But bro, like first of all, this t-shirt you'd have seen if you're on, as I said, on my Instagram, you'd have seen me rocking this t-shirt. Like this t-shirt is crazy, bro. Like that's a mad t-shirt. And hold up. Shout out to the bro Cisse from Auxerre, Philip Mexies as well from Auxerre. You get me? You get me? The Auxerre print on the inside, so definitely a reversible tee. We love that. But also, check out the Gradient Fleece, broski. Gradient Fleece. Bro, I'm about to take over in 2025. You are mad. You might have lost your damn mind. Bro, shout out to Sneaker Den. That Fleece is mad. Right? We're loving it. We're loving it. We're loving it. Okay. So we picked up. Another reason why I wanted to do this was because we got in some community questions. Now, those of you who have been watching since episode 100 have noticed that I have introduced a new segment called Kicks Chronicles Community Questions, because Kicks Chronicles is a podcast for the community, right? And we want to give the community a voice in every single podcast. Anytime we can, we want to give them a voice. So I will ask a question from the community on your behalf, and I've been able to feature some really, really cool friends and people from the community. And this is another opportunity for me to do that, because some questions that I've received are actually directed specifically to me, which is also cool. And obviously, if you ever want to ask me a question, kitschronicles@gmail.com, or just hit me up on Instagram, TikTok, or wherever you see I'm posted up at. Or if you see me directly at an event or anything, just come to me direct and we can have a chat and chop it up there and then. By the way, if you ever see me posted up for an interview or posted up for anything, bro, come and say hello to me. Just come. Don't ever think, bro's busy or no. Just come and say hello, right? If I'm busy, I will say to you, oh yeah, I got to do something, man. But bro, there will not come a day by the grace of God where I don't have time to say hello. Like, we all have time to say hello. Like, you get me? Like, come on, man. Like, so don't ever feel like you're begging it up, boom, boom, boom. Now, come and say hello and we can chop it up, man. I want to meet everyone that listens to the pod. I want to meet everyone that vibes with what I do. Like, I want to meet everybody. You get me, man? Like, let's just chop it up, man. It's no problem. Like, it's not a long thing at all, right? So don't ever feel a way about it. All right, I've got a few questions here from a really, really cool friend and one of my good friends in the culture, Kieran from All That Sneaks. You get me? Shout out Kieran Coyle. Love that episode. Yeah, this is a sneaker historian, a sneaker commentator, a sneaker reporter, a journalist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying upper echelon dude. You get me? Like, knows what he's talking about. A few questions from him. First question is, how do you find doing a pod by yourself? Would you ever consider a co-host? Shout out to Kieran once again. So yeah, very, very interesting question. I think for me, all it comes down to is I don't like to bother people, and I don't like to start something I cannot complete. When you involve more people, when you've got more cooks in the kitchen, it just means there's more mouths, more discussion, more things that have to be said before things can get done. And I'm a doer, right? You get me? I'm all for talking it through, but when it's all said and done, bro, I like to get things cooking. I like to get things cracking. You get me? Like, so having a co-host means you're splitting responsibility. And one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received in life, and it's not just in life, in marriage or anything where you're dealing with a partnership, is if both of you aren't pushing at 100%, then you're never going to hit 100% as a duo. Right? Just deep what I'm saying, right? So if one of you is at 100%, but the other person is on 50, the maximum capacity you can get out of that venture is 75%. And who's here for that? Right? And I'm not trying to get deep out here, but like, as I said, I don't like to put stress on people. I don't like to rely on people and have them flop me. So I kind of put that all on myself. So the reason why I designed and formatted the podcast the way I had is that I know I can rely on myself. And if I flop, I have only myself to blame. Now, as you probably noticed, when I go out, I have a videographer, producer Pete. I've known him for over close to 30 years at this point, right? Now, sometimes he's going to flop me, right? Sometimes I'm going to flop him, right? But we've got a lot of skin in the game, pause, right? So, like, if he does, I can easily forgive him because, like, I'm saying we've been friends and we've been best friends for years and years and years, right? But if I'm getting a person that's meant to be a co-host and they're meant to show up and they're not able to show up, or they're meant to be available and they're not available, or I'm trying to organize people's availability and schedules is one of the hardest things to organize when there's only 2 people involved, let alone when there's 3, 4 people involved. Bro, I don't know how, like, Doubled Up Podcast, shout out to Matt and Matt and Scott or the guys over at the stockroom. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. Being able to schedule everyone's, like, or get on the same page with everyone's schedule, then obviously on the guest schedule, like, all of that stuff is just it's a lot. It's a lot. So with the best will in the world, probably won't ever have a full-time co-host. But you never know, man. Every so once in a while, we might have like a guest co-host. And obviously, at Christmas, we're going to have 2 very special guests. And I said, hold tight. Because at the end of this podcast, I'm going to let you know who our special 2 guests are for this year, 2024's Christmas episode. Yeah, so hold fire on that, hold tight on that. Next question. All of these questions from Kieran, so shout out to Kieran once again. What is the biggest lesson you've learned in starting podcast? So I'm going to say 2 things, yeah. First of all, I'm going to give a piece of advice, and then I'm going to tell you what the biggest lesson is. The biggest advice I said is, in life, anything that's worth anything, right, requires sacrifice. But in order for you to get to that point, right, you need to overcome something that I refer to as the battle to begin. And some of you would have heard me mention this on other podcasts, or even on this podcast when talking to certain guests, right? The battle to begin is real, right?
anything that's worth anything, you have to start. You have to start. You just need to start, right? And some people may think, oh, I need this before I start, or I need that before I start, or I need to buy this or get this equipment. No, 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 no. Just start, right? At whatever level you are, start, right? And grow as you go. Grow as you go, right? Keep it moving. And as you're going, you accumulate experience, expertise, equipment, all of that. Get that as you go, right? That's the best thing you can ever do, right? So overcome the battle to begin. Just grow as you go, right? Um, biggest lesson I would say is that, without getting too deep, your biggest supporters aren't going to be the people closest to you in real life. The realest talk I could ever tell you. If you're ever thinking about starting a podcast or starting any kind of real endeavor, just know that the people closest to you are probably not going to be your biggest supporters, right? At least not initially. They're not. It's very unlikely. In some people's case, they are, which is amazing, and I would never begrudge that. But in a lot of people's case, and I can certainly say for mine, they are not. Right? And I'm not bitter about it. It's just the reality of the fact, right? Some of my biggest supporters are people that I've never met, people from other countries, people that I'm saying I want to meet, right? Like, some of my biggest supporters are people that have no physical connection with, right? And that's wild, right, when you think about it. But the truth of the matter is, they may not be fully into the things that you're into. So you can't really. And my mum don't know nothing about kicks, bro. Like, I talk about my mum every single episode because I absolutely love her. I talk about my wife pretty much every single episode because, like, she's the most amazing woman in the world. But she don't love kicks the way I love kicks. So she ain't, like, she'll listen to my podcast from a critical standpoint to make sure it doesn't sound like I don't sound like an idiot, right? But she don't necessarily enjoy it. That's not her content. And in a sense, she's not the tribe I'm looking for. She's not the type of person I want to be consuming my content, because she's not going to share it in that way. Now, don't get me wrong. My wife shares my stuff. My wife listens to my stuff. She's an amazing supporter, but she's not my key demo, right? And I get that, right? So I can't be angry with her if she doesn't see every single video or watch every single podcast or listen to every single podcast. I don't get angry with her. Now, some people, their missus is their number one fan because they would listen to that podcast, they would eat, sleep, and watch that content. That is it, bro. That's amazing. Like, I always say to John Suave, like, and I had John Suave in the podcast, Kay, his missus, bro, that's his number one fan. Now, my wife is my number one fan, but in a different way, because she doesn't like that content. She loves it because of me, right? Kay loves that content regardless. So, like, it's a vibe, you get me? I put a lot of respect on that. And I always tell John, like, big up your missus, man, for that support. You get me? But in reality, that's an anomaly. What he has with his missus is an anomaly, right? A lot of people I know in the game, that's not the reality for a lot of us, you get me? Like, so, with that being said, yeah, your brother, your sister, your cousins, your best friends may not vibe with your content the way that you expect them to initially. You get me? That might come around if you do really well. It might come around regardless of how well you do. They might just catch a revelation and want to give you that support. The truth of the matter is, like, wherever you get your support and wherever you get your strength from, right? I would personally say focus on that. Focus on that. You get me? I take a lot of my strength from God. Like, I put a lot of I put a lot of my stress and everything on my relationship with Him. You get me? In terms of content creation and in life. You get me? Like, so I know I can go to Him and say, you know what? Like, I'm relying on you to open doors for me, and He opens doors. You get me? So I do it that way. Everyone's not gonna do it the same way. That's what I do. You get me? And Jesus never left. Jesus has never let me down in that regard. But that being said, right? We all need that energy source from somewhere, especially when the times are tough. And in the early days when you're doing podcasts, bro, when you're getting like 2 or 3 streams and stuff like that, like it's tough, bro. It's tough, man. Because you're like, what am I doing this for? You get me, man? But you just got to push through. Because the truth is, you need to be able to do this regardless of how many people watch or listen. Because if you're looking to get like rich off this, yeah, at least in the early days, bro, it ain't gonna happen, man. You got to put some time and some work in. I'm saying for it to get popping, you need to do it, man. A lot of people say, and it's been said in the past, it takes 10,000 hours to become an overnight success. It's nuts, right? You get me? I've been on Instagram for years. Like, only recently, things have started popping off for me. You get me? Like, it's just one of them things. You get me? Like, so yeah, very long-winded answer. Those are a couple of pieces of advice. The last question he's asked is, can you believe you recently hit 100 episodes? The answer to that question is yes, I can. I can believe it because that was my aim. That was my goal. I wanted to hit that. It was just another thing I needed to do. But what I can't believe was the guests that I've been able to talk to on the way there, including Kieran. I can't believe the amount of support that I've had. I can't believe how God has been faithful throughout that process. Those are the things I can't believe. Getting to 100, I knew I would get to 100. I was focused, right? And the reason why I knew I'd get to 100 because 100 isn't the goal ultimately, right? I see 100 as a ticket to an airplane. Crazy analogy, but it's a ticket to get onto an airplane. I decide the destination, right? Whether the destination is 1,000 episodes, 200 episodes, 1,000,000 episodes, who knows, right? I decide the destination. I decide how far I go with this, right? But now, when someone jumps onto my feed, they see that I've got some investment in the game, right? They know I'm not a young buck. They know I'm a bigger you out here when I've been putting that work in. So they know they can get behind me. It's like when you're on Instagram and someone's got 5 or 6 posts, but their stuff is banging. You're like, I like their stuff, but like it takes a real one to support at that stage, right? Most people are gonna say, I'm gonna keep a mental note and I'm gonna come back in 6 months. And if he's got another 60, 100 more posts and they're all on that same level, then I'm gonna give him a follow. And I don't disrespect that. I think that's calm, right? But so I say for myself, I'm like 100 episodes gets me in the door for a lot of people. They're like, oh yeah, this guy's really about it. Because think about it yourself. Your favorite podcast, apart from this, obviously, right? When did you jump on them? Like, what was the first episode you listened to? Because I can tell you for the majority of you, it weren't episode 1. It definitely weren't episode 10, right? For a lot of you, it would have been episode 108 or 110 or 110 or 150 or 300 or 400 or what have you. Like, that's when you would have jumped on. Like when things were firing on all cylinders and it was at the height of its popularity. That's when you got involved. You get me? Like, that's what it is, man. So yeah, 100 episodes is an absolutely amazing achievement. I give all glory to God, but we ain't done yet. Shout out to Kieran once again for those amazing questions. We are wrapping up, people. Before we go, like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things that you're meant to do. 5-star reviews. You've been doing 5-star reviews. Keep doing the 5-star reviews. Really need those, right? As I mentioned earlier, we've got the 2 episodes that are coming after this, right? 2 Christmas episodes, right? It is one big Christmas special, but I split it in 2 because it definitely is going to go 2 hours. First half is going to be like our awards, right? Our awards night. This is on awards day because of the guests we've got involved, and I will share those with you very, very shortly. But it's like an award ceremony where we're going to say our favorite drops of the year, favorite rollouts of the year, unsung heroes. We're giving flowers basically in the first hour. Second hour, we are going through our combined top 10 Kicks of 2024. You get me? And we will be touching on the complex top 10 as well. You get me? All of you guys that have been sticking around trying to find out who's gonna be on the episode, I'm gonna say it now. So first up, we're gonna have one of my favorite ever guests on the podcast. Very opinionated, super funny. I'm talking about the one and only, coming straight out of Korea. I'm talking about the one and only Sneaker Adjussi. You get me? And that's the reason why we're not doing it at night. We have to do it in the daytime because of the time difference. So Sneaker Adjussi is going to be our first guest, an absolute legend in the game. Many of you know. He's my personal GOAT of all of this, right? Second is one of the biggest sneaker YouTubers in the UK. Put some respect on Broski's name, G. Broski's name, G. You get me? I'm talking about the one and only life of Broski. Erkin Hassan is our second guest for the Kicks Chronicles Christmas Special 2024. You get me? Once again, people, quick reminder, we'll be dropping every single Monday at 8 a.m. for the foreseeable future. Obviously, I've highlighted that there are going to be a couple of breaks in there over the New Year's period, but for the foreseeable future, we're going to be dropping at 8 a.m. on Mondays. I want to say once again, if this is the last episode you hear from us this year, don't let it be, because you want to go and listen to those Christmas episodes. But if it is, I love you. I appreciate you. Keep rocking with us, and I'll keep rocking with you. You get me? And until I see all of you, man, down the road, everyone, look after yourselves and stay blessed.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Kicks Chronicles. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, rate, review, and all that good stuff. And remember, full video version is available on YouTube, audio versions available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.